Welcome to New York's Haunted History. This list of 10 is part of a playlist of gentle listening, spooky collections from across the USA. The screen fades to black so you can enjoy the stories without distractions if relaxing or studying. Please do consider a like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. First is the best name for a haunted place in a long while, the House of Death, which is at 14 West 10th Street in New York City. This notorious brownstone type of house is famously one of New York City's most haunted residences. Built in the mid-1800s, it's witnessed at least 22 deaths, including a tragic murder-suicide. Literary icon Mark Twain lived there around 1900 and reportedly experienced supernatural events, including cold spots, disembodied voices, and apparently he saw his own ghost walk up the stairs. Residents and passers-by have since reported flickering lights inside the house, tools that move on their own, and icy shocks in empty rooms. Today, private apartments occupy the structure, but it remains a regular highlight of many a ghost tour. At number 2 is the Morris Jumel Mansion in Manhattan. Constructed in 1765, the stately Morris Jumel Mansion is Manhattan's oldest home and was once George Washington's headquarters. It's said that one of the house's former owners, the prostitute and infamous actress Madame Eliza Jumel, refuses to leave the house. She's joined, in spirit form, by her first husband, Aaron Barr. Psychic Hans Holzer conducted 2 seances, and on the second one, her later husband Stephen Jumel said he'd died by falling onto a pitchfork, but that his wife had watched with glee as he bled to death. Eliza herself is often seen wearing violet. Other ghosts include a revolutionary soldier, several men in uniform partying in the mansion's dining room, and on one occasion 2 school teachers saw a soldier step right out from a painting on a wall. Footsteps have been heard also coming from the second floor. Away from people, there's a clock that chimes even though it's unwound, and cold drafts that drift through the East Room. For number 3 we have Letchworth Village in Ogdensburg, upstate New York. Once a sprawling state institution for the mentally challenged, Letchworth Village opened in 1911 and closed in the 1990s, unfortunately amid allegations of neglect and abuse. Visitors now report hearing patients' laughter and screams echoing through empty wards, objects crashing in vacant rooms, and seeing the ghost of a red-haired woman, rumoured to have once been an evil nurse who harmed patients. Paranormal investigators who've ventured through cracked doors and broken windows have reported heavy footsteps and cold spots alongside EMF spikes. Although entry is now prohibited, many urban explorers tell of disembodied cries reverberating through deserted hallways. For number 4 we have the appropriately named Hell's Gate Railway Bridge in New York City. The bridge took 4 years to build from 1912 to 1916 and is a strong landmark that crosses the East River. According to legend, if it's the middle of the night and you hear the screeching of train brakes from the bridge, then it's coming from a ghost train. It's said the train picks up and drops off the souls of people who've ended their lives from the bridge. There may be glimpses of apparitions and muffled cries. There's also talk of treasure and the ghosts of those who went down with a British ship called the Hussar in 1780. The ship was carrying $800 million of valuables and sank near to where the bridge now stands. It took all 140 crew members with it. Ghosts of the sailors are said to be the spirits who are sometimes encountered. Halfway through the list at number 5 is the Renwick Smallpox Hospital on Roosevelt Island. Some information for this one comes from one of our favourite YouTube channels, Amy's Crypt. This Gothic revival structure was ideal for isolation. It's sitting on the island away from everyday New Yorkers. It was once a quarantine hospital for smallpox patients in the mid-1800s, but now it's in ruin, with unsupported walls and no roof. Up to 14,000 people died at the facility, and part of its problem might well have been how the bodies were disposed of. They used to heap them into piles, burn them, and then dump the remains in the East River. Light anomalies and dark shadow figures have been seen. Also voices have been heard from within the buildings, which are notable because the whole complex has been fenced off for visitors' safety. At number 6 is the Dakota Octagon, which was known as the Old New York Lunatic Asylum. It can also be found on Roosevelt Island. Strangely, the Dakota Octagon is now a luxury condo complex. Strange because it was a former asylum, and you might agree it could well hold tortured spirits. Originally built in 1839 for the mentally ill, it was converted and neglected over time. Reported hauntings include flickering lights and frightening screams in the night. A good quirk is that many visitors' pets have refused to climb its staircase and will often stare at walls or ceilings for ages. The building's chilling history and the ways it operated formed the basis for the book 10 Days in a Madhouse by Nellie Bly, which led to many positive changes in such places. But number 7 is Forest Park Cemetery in Brunswick, upstate New York. Founded in 1897, this overgrown and abandoned cemetery has become woven into grim urban tales. There are statues that appear to bleed red moss, toppled mausoleum doors that open on their own, and whispers are heard among the stones. One widespread story is of 3 women in white who chase visitors out of the cemetery. While much is likely folklore, the moss-stained statues and broken crypts do give the cemetery a haunting Gothic curiosity. The main reason this one is on the list is because most of the stories are only that, stories made up by teenagers. The reality of the site is that it was a failed business venture. A group of businessmen bought 200 acres and hoped to make money from it by selling grave plots. It all failed, and the cemetery descended into an unkept mess. From that state, legends were created and vandalism became so intense that the city now only allows the general public in on one day of the year. And number 8 is Beardsley Castle in Little Falls. It was constructed in 1860 to mimic an Irish castle. Folklore speaks of a stock of 1700s munitions which was stored in tunnels that later exploded when Native Americans attacked the location. Also stories of early 20th century deaths and 2 destructive fires in 1911 and again in 1989. Staff have reported shadowy figures and furniture moving on its own. Many kinds of odd paranormal activity have been witnessed, such as bright lights that rush out at cars, causing accidents. There's a female apparition called Abigail, who's known to walk the grounds. Areas of intense activity are the dining hall and tower, where objects might move or fall and break. There can be voices, ghost figures, eerie feelings, malfunctioning cameras, footsteps, and more. At spot number 9 is the Cresher Mansion on Staten Island. This imposing 1885 Staten Island mansion is in the Queen Anne style and made of wood. It was built by German immigrant Balthasar Kreischer and is said to be home to its own set of eerie voices, to moving furniture and spirit faces in windows. There were in fact 2 identical mansions, but the one owned by Charles Kreischer burned down. Edward Kreischer died under mysterious circumstances in 1894 after the family brick business faltered and body parts were dug up nearby the site of his house. In 2005, the remaining house was the site of the mob murder of a Bonanno crime family associate, Robert McKelvey, who was stabbed there by mafia hitman Joseph Young, who was working as a caretaker at the mansion. The body was cut up and burned in the furnace. Staff have reported hearing a woman wail, furniture moving around on its own, and have captured ghostly apparitions in photos. Edward's wife is believed to roam around the building too, also a German cook who was killed in the home. He still bangs his pots and pans in the kitchen. And for number 10, a bit of fun to end with, the Ear Inn in Soho, New York City. The bar opened in 1817 and quickly became popular with sailors, a rowdy bunch as you may know. One of them has apparently never gone home or set sail again. Mickey, as the ghost is known, was very fond of hard liquor, and either he got poisoned by strong alcohol in the bar and keeled over his seat, or got struck by a car when he left late at night. Either way, his spirit is the one that haunts the Ear Inn. He's cheeky to women, prodding them and touching them. He's also been known to climb into bed with them if they stayed the night, but his main trick is to steal other people's drinks. Someone can order a drink, turn their back, and when they turn back around again, the drink's empty, with nobody around to have swiped it. That has caused several arguments, and the bar staff are always sure to state that they haven't touched anyone's drink. Thank you for joining us on this little journey. From mansions to bars, the state of New York has many buildings full of intrigue and haunting tales. I hope you'll be around for the next one.